Hello, it's Father Samuel Hakeem with a word of hope for Monday in the 21st week in Ordinary Time. Well, today the Church, and especially the Dominican Order, celebrate the feast of St. Augustine. It's significant to us as Dominicans because we follow the rule of St. Augustine as our rule of religious life. But Augustine, of course, is one of the most important saints in the entire Church calendar, in my opinion, at least. He's certainly one of my personal favorites. He was born to a Christian mother and a pagan father in the 4th century, and lived his life on this radical search for what's real. There were moments early on in his life when he got into different types of philosophy or different spiritualities, always searching for what's real, what's true. And it took him a while, and some of that while was pretty wild, if you know the story of his life. It took him a while to come to find goodness and truth and reality in the one and living God, in the one faith that we profess as Christians. What's most fascinating to me, though, about the story of St. Augustine is how he doesn't completely reject his old self after his confession and his embracing of the faith. Rather, he takes what was good from who he was into the faith with him. So, for instance, he was trained as a rhetorician, a scholar of language, of word usage. It was sort of the highest art back in his day. He becomes this great and prolific preacher and writer, communicating the faith in really beautiful ways, even down to today. Such beautiful passages in his writings, in his preachings as well. He was deep into Platonic philosophy, and we see that same Platonic philosophy sort of come to light in the way that he talks about the different tenets of our faith, especially in talking about the Trinity and humanity and our place in the great story of faith, of what is. Even the things that he is ashamed of, the more sinful side of who he was before his conversion, well, that too he displays in his book, this great autobiography known as the Confessions of St. Augustine, which should be on the mandatory reading list for Catholics, in my opinion. A very beautiful book. But he writes about how, in searching for all these things and getting caught up in all of these things, he missed what was most central, most interior to him, namely God himself. And so, yes, Augustine has a lot to teach us about grace, about redemption, and the mercy and love of God. He teaches us in beautiful language, beautiful words, and we celebrate him today as one of the great heroes of our faith. God bless you, and happy feast of St. Augustine.